From the center of the galaxy, this is ForceCenter, show about Star Wars, pop culture, the ultimate adventure, life itself, and deciding the truths about pop culture and Star Wars. I'm Ken Napzok. This is Subjective Wars.
And I am Joseph Scrimshaw, and this is still Subjective Wars. On almost every episode of Subjective Wars, this is where now Jennifer Landa would say, I'm Jennifer Landa, is regular viewers, watchers, listeners know Jennifer is going back to school. So we got to do some episodes without Jennifer, which is heartbreaking, particularly in a show where we're going to take a vote. And 3 people sometimes work better than 2. But, you know, this is less of a vote and more a couple fight, right?
Yeah, this is trying to come to a consensus on what to eat for dinner.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But yeah, very excited for this episode.
Very excited indeed. We are going to dive into discussion today about 2 dark and mysterious worlds, though over time we've learned a little bit more about the worlds. Maybe one more than other, but that's not necessarily true now if you've been keeping up with the comics, which I haven't, which will be interesting here. But Joseph, today we are going to subjectively discuss, debate, and vote on Mustafar versus Exegol.
That is right. We're in a general dark side mood because of the acolytes. We're trying to pick some dark side topics, and every time I open one of those damn Oreo packs, I get the red cream dark side. And I apologize that I can't remember where, but someone suggested this particular topic of Mustafar versus Exegol. So thank you for that suggestion. And this is going to be a hard one for me, Ken, because I do love both of these planets. Do you start like me in a this is a hard decision place, or do you have someone, a planet that you're already for?
Very hard decision, and I don't even need the supplemental material on Exegol. Just Rise of Skywalker itself, just the lightning and the statues and the arm claw of Palpatine. I'm there for everything that's on Exegol, but Mustafar, over the years, become one of my favorite spots.
Yeah, it's so good. So let's start with Mustafar. I think Mustafar obviously came into our lives with Revenge of the Sith, and then I think takes on a lot more relevance and meaning and power when you discover that Vader built his castle to look out over his greatest pain and greatest failure, and that the moon of Nur, where the Inquisitorius lives, is also in the Mustafar system. There's that great ominous line early on in Rebels, the Mustafar system is where Jedi go to die. So I think Mustafar is one of those, for me, what I love about it is sometimes Star Wars has deep subtext, and how can you read that line, and what a beautiful minimal way to say this great truth in a poetic way. And sometimes Star Wars is like, do you get it? Here is a large stink. Wham! And Mustafar is one of George Lucas's, do you get it? Wham! It is the dark side planet. It is the picture of what Anakin has done to his soul. He has become a place of fire and misery, spewing destructive, burning fluid everywhere. Destructive fluid that is also being collected in machinery for commerce. I get that. But as a metaphor, it is just like, what happened to Anakin? Volcano planet. And sometimes I like a metaphor that is not subtle, a metaphor that is literally exploding in the audience's face, like Mustafar. So that's where my love of Mustafar starts from. How about yourself?
Yeah, it's hell, right? It's hell, and you know, but Exegol is too, and that's key to these stories, these myths, and I like that both these trilogies have one. What's the original trilogy version? I guess maybe the Death Star Emperor's throne room might be. You're going to have an appointment with Satan in hell up at his office.
Cold, analytical, repetitive. Yeah, it is kind of the original portrait of evil. Of Star Wars evil.
Might be it. But yeah, for Mustafar, it is, I've talked about before, but now more than ever, this is the show to enter it into official ForceCenter record for those who missed it. But like, Mustafar was one of those things when I was working through my understanding and love and appreciation of the prequels, which was a little different back in the day. Mustafar is one of those spots that I was like, but I did like that, and I've been waiting for years to see that fabled fight on a molten lava planet that the novel promised and the stories promised, and we got it. And then playing it on the second Battlefront back in 2005 was one of those moments of maybe there's more things in these movies that I love than I think. And Mustafar is the starting point for that.
Yeah, and for the ForceCenter record, I'll repeat a word that I say constantly, which is pulpy. I remember, I think I read the novelization,
Mm.
but I remember the dime really dropping for me because it was on the back of the Power of the Force cards on
Mm-hmm.
one of the early Vader action figures, and horribly
Mm-hmm.
scarred after a battle with Obi-Wan on a lava planet. It's just so like, yeah, this is what
Yeah.
we're doing here. It's space wizards with laser swords fighting on lava planets.
Mm.
It's an old Robin Hood movie where they fight in a tall place and you fall into the
Mm-hmm.
lake. Except for now, it's a lake of fire because it's
Mm-hmm.
all dark side. And I do love it that it's so pulpy, but then it also can be laced with a deeper meaning. And I have friends who love Rogue One and like, but what's this corny crap with Vader having a castle on a lava planet? And I'm like, I'm there for that. I love it. That's what
Yeah.
it's about. Because once you
Mm-hmm.
get into this picture in Charles Soule's Vader comics about the purpose of the castle, trying to, channel power so you can reach into the beyond and contact Padme and all
Mm-hmm.
that kind of stuff. Um, and the Emperor wanting him to be in constant pain. So saying like, yeah, I don't want you to ever forget that you failed and became slightly less valuable to me because you let your old master turn you into a cyborg.
Yeah.
Uh, I want you to sit there and stew constantly. And then I want to call you up on the phone and go, you seem agitated, my friend, sitting in your castle on your lava planet, overlooking your greatest failure. You seem
Mm.
agitated, my friend.
Mm. Mm.
Is blatant and pulpy as it is as a metaphor, it also contains these nuances of the trap and the torture of the dark side and that need to stay in a constant place of pain and agony and anger. It
Mm.
has some of that nuance as well as the
Mm.
blatant explosion of dark side metaphor.
Yeah, it's all right there, and even learning more about the planet. And I apologize, I don't have all the details. I didn't play the Vader VR game, which I think some of them are in
Hmm.
there. I definitely read the big run of comics that you're talking about. Some of the other ones that have, the Helmet of Momin, and the planet was great,
Hmm.
verdant, green, fields of gold all over. Like it was like a Sting song from 1993. It was great, but now it is what it is. But that's even to me added to the lore. And
Hmm.
literally, it's added to the lore, but it's added to the legacy of this planet.
Yeah, yeah. All right, so let's take a look at Exegol then. You've always been on board with Exegol. You've never struggled with Exegol, have you?
Not at all. There's that opening sequence is wonderful. I mean, of course, it begins on Mustafar, so maybe they do go hand in hand. But just sliding in how you get there, the mystery of it, learning, and I had questions too. Of course, I had questions of where's some of the other planets that we know are Sith homeworlds, or but that's part of the fun of discovering something new, a new wrinkle in the lore. But just getting there, how you travel down the lightning, like I said, the oversized statues that just dwarf anyone that's in there. This overwhelming sense of dread, but then the weird, I'll say it this time, pulpy
Mm.
work going on, the Palpatine claw of it all, the horror show that is there, but also the idea that Palpatine probably feels pretty safe in his world, surrounded by his minions, surrounded by these people that followed him all these years secretly. He feels rather invincible, and it adds to the overwhelming nature. You're going down to the pit of Hades to face everything, to face the darkness, face evil. This is the perfect pit for someone like Palpatine.
Yeah, no, I really agree with all that, and I like that we can have different dark side planets, and they sort of manifest differently. We
Mm,
talk a lot about in the High Republic how we spend time getting to learn in the publishing initiative how the Jedi see the Force in different ways, and I think
mm,
the dark side can kind of be represented in different ways. And I think Vader is this fiery creature born of loss and pain, and he is anger, and so
mm,
constantly erupting volcano is very, very Vader.
mm, mm,
Exegol, in particular, is Palpatine in general, but in particular,
mm,
matches a dry, desiccated husk hanging from a claw, barely surviving.
mm,
Exegol is scary, but it's Mustafar is like a planet that's in the middle of dying,
mm,
and
mm,
Exegol is like a world that's been dead for thousands of years, and it's
right.
unnaturally still alive. Like to see that sort of a dry, arid. It's not even a desert with life in it. It's like a dead desert. It's so
Mhm.
ashy and barren. And even the lightning, that great sound effect of lightning gives me the feeling of like fingernails on a chalkboard. Like there's like
Mm,
the lightning sounds weird because there's not even enough
mm,
life, moisture in the air for lightning to be normal. It's like
mm.
uh, when I look at Exegol, I think of like the times I've been most parched, the most full of thirst in my life. It's just so dry and dead and scratchy, and it makes me feel what Palpatine must feel like to be,
Mm.
just dripping and
Yeah.
stitched together and barely holding on, and like no moisture. I'm sure all of his weird little mad science buddies are constantly lubricating him so he can even speak. Just like, open
Just
up, time for your squirt.
an old timey one of those, Tin Man kind of oil thing.
oh, Palpatine's jaw stuck again. Oil him up. Yep.
Eh. Yeah, it's the equivalent of heading on the 40 freeway and your car's AC goes out about Needles, California. You're just there and you're living.
Yeah. just the driest death possible and the lightning effect. And yeah, and then everything you're saying about like this the lurking beneath it all, the inverted pyramid. Everything about it has this like, yes, there's a darkness lurking underneath. So in terms of just a Star Wars fan, I love both planets, so I don't yet know how the hell I'm
Yeah.
possibly going to choose one for our
Yeah.
episode. We often, when we're talking about planets, we often go to, well, which one would you want to live on?
Uh-huh.
Neither would be my first choice, but
No.
where do you go to?
It's Mustafar because I think you can probably hit a store up there. I think it's probably more Needles, and I've stopped the Needles a few times. There's a good Jack in the Box there. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the thing. You and I could probably do a push and vote for both planets together. Like I really enjoy it, but with Exegol, it kind of is what it is. I see it and I get it and I love it. I don't have a lot of wonder. We all wonder like how'd they build the ships, and some people hate the fact that all these ships are under there, and they have some problems with that. Got it. This isn't about that. I like that part of the Exegol equation, but with Mustafar, there's a forest. There's a spot on the other side where Palpatine was stuffing kids with the help of Cad Bane and that whole stuff in the Clone Wars. There's like you said, that it isn't. Revenge of the Sith doesn't have a grand finale fight at a Castle of Doom. It's like a mining facility. It's working. It's a working place. I don't want to live there. I don't like heat. But it's probably got some good AC inside. You can hit it in the corner store. You can probably have some friends there. Mustafar, it's the place to be out of these two.
Yeah, I'd rather be hot than dry. That's what it comes down to.
Heat, yeah.
It comes down to, all the jokes about people talking about like, well, it's a dry heat, or well, there's a lot of moisture today. There can definitely be a lot of moisture-based heat here in Los Angeles and California where we live, but in general, it's more of a dry heat than Minneapolis, Minnesota, where I grew up. That is, I think, generally famous for being real snowy in the winter, but during the summer, it also gets like swamp hot, where you can feel like the air is so thick that you are swimming through it, and that's unpleasant. But I would rather have that kind of heat on Mustafar, where the moisture in there still feels like the possibility of life. Certainly by the vast number of mosquito bites one gets in that environment. I think there's a lot of space mosquitoes on Mustafar.
Yep.
At least there's still life. I feel like on Mustafar, I would land and like my skin would immediately wrinkle, teeth would start falling out, nails would start cracking. It's just that the dryness of it is really disturbing to me on some visceral level.
Yeah, you don't even want to walk outside, right? Like this is always when they land, the X-wings and the TIE fighter land in Rise of Skywalker. I'm like, there's only one way to go towards that weird building. I don't want to know what's beyond that.
Yeah, that's true. It seems like they have to live underground. Like obviously, Kylo and Rey seem to survive on the surface for a little while, but it seems like everybody has to live underground. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, what kind of creatures are out there? Are there creatures at all? Are there dry dragons? We'll call them like dried lizards or something. I don't know. Like,
dry dragons, they try to breathe fire on you and they're just like, ha, ha. You just can't get the light going
Yeah,
back
but
there.
there's an appeal sometimes in life. I don't want to hang out with anyone down below in the surface of Exegol, but hey, I just want to go. It's a good weekend getaway. I just go underneath here, write some poems, think some thoughts. Don't need to go into the surface.
That's true. Like I can't remember. I know Vader messes with the Mustafarians, the natural inhabitants. I think they
Right.
challenge him, and he slaughters maybe all of them. I can't remember the details from
Yeah.
Charles Soule's comic, and I'm sure more stuff has come out. But depending on what time one chose to live on Mustafar,
Mm,
there, like to your point, there were cultures, there were civilizations. The Mustafarians might have a 7-Eleven that you could be like,
right.
you stay on this side of the planet. You don't go to the castle side of the planet, and you're
Mm-hmm.
okay. I think
Mm-hmm.
maybe the best argument you could make for Exegol is like, well, there's a lot of work there making those ships. All you have to do is go like, yeah, no, I'm totally
It's
down with the Sith. Like, I mean, I get Rise of Skywalker moves fast and it doesn't give you all the answers. I think,
yeah.
the visual dictionary stuff is like, yeah, all the people staffing those ships they're all people from Exegol who've been raised in this cult their entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Is I believe
Mm-hmm.
what the visual dictionary says. And my apologies if I'm misremembering that.
Mm-hmm.
But I wonder if you could, if they were real open to new people moving into town. If you made your way there and you're like, I understand this is a Sith cult planet. I'm just looking for work. I'll sign
Mm-hmm.
up. I agree with you. Peace is a lie.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi are bad. I'll sign
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then can I just get a steady job building horrible super Sith Star Destroyers? Or would they be like, you get there and you're like, look, I'll sign any paperwork to any beliefs. I just want a job. Would they be like, no, 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 this job is only for, Exegol born Sith cultists and they, gut you immediately?
Yeah. God, yeah, that's like, got to move. He got to transfer. We're gonna go out to. We live in Palmdale now. He works out there at Virgin Atlantic. Man, yeah, yeah. That's you're putting some thoughts in my head there. Yeah, but I gotta imagine you got to be on the team to work there. That's part
Yeah.
of the vetting process, huh?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
What other metrics, what other ways to frame this decision occur to you? We've analyzed the sort of the Star Wars thematic elements of it and the where do we want to live. But what other metrics are at stake for you in making this impossible decision?
I think I look at when I think of these two planets. What do I think about? In terms of action and the events that
Mm,
have happened there. Both are big and
mm,
wonderful and have moments I loved. I love the final fight in Rise of Skywalker. I love that's my favorite. The rock and roll version of Rey's theme. Some of the great shots.
mm-hmm.
The Alone Never Were You conversations and love it all. Love it there. But going back 2005, gosh, man, like from then to now, almost 20 years later, that's crazy to think. I love that final sequence. I love even the things that some of the flips. I remember back in '05, like them flipping and landing on a robot. I'm like, even with the Force, that doesn't seem possible. Now it's part of, it's such a mythic setting. It lived up to the anticipation that I had for that entire sequence and that planet from 1983. It's hard for Exegol to overcome that because it was brand new, right?
Mm-hmm.
If I had read a book in 1997, and I know they take a lot of things from the EU and everything like that, but if I had read like there's a mysterious planet called Exegol, like I finally got to see it. It's hard for me to separate. That's a big metric of I was highly anticipating this with that first trailer. Oh my God! Standing in my apartment with my roommates, going, "Oh, the lava planet." We didn't really have that name, if I recall, right? We didn't learn that till the
I
movie,
don't think
right?
so.
That's a big metric for me too. Just did it deliver, and Mustafar has that advantage.
Yeah, you're making it even more difficult because yes, the epic lightsaber battle between Kenobi and Anakin. I have only grown to love
Yeah,
it more because I think I got almost overhyped for it back in the day
sure.
because I was on Star Wars. I think I was a member of their hyperspace club at the time, and I was on StarWars.com every day, and they kind of shared a lot of
Right.
online of like you know videos with Nick Lard training, and there was a phrase in the fight that ended up being edited that they had shown
Mm-hmm.
online them rehearsing, and then
Mm-hmm.
ended up edited out of the actual fight. And I remember being grumpy about that in
Mm-hmm.
2005, like, oh, that was so cool, and they edited it out. Um, and there's a part of me that still thinks it's like, I know they did not speed it up. I know they fought so fast that they considered slowing it down. But there is sometimes like I almost want to savor the beats a little bit more because it goes so fast. But anyway, those are some of my 2005 working through 2005 feelings. But now I love it. It's iconic. You know, Hayden does lots of great work, but that's Hayden and Ewan. That's their masterpiece. I love that it ravages across the planet. It's cool and pulpy and weird that it's swinging on ropes and slashing at each other and all that. That it's like this it's this great image of this conflict is just destructive. Anything in its wake is going to be destroyed. And even going back to 2005 when people made fun of the I Have a High Ground, they still make fun of the I Have a High Ground.
So do, yeah.
I think it's great. I love it.
Yeah.
It's got the weird scene of Palpatine rescuing Anakin and doing that tender touch to the forehead of like, is the meat I dropped on the floor still good? Can I still have this steak?
Still good, still good. Yeah.
Still good. So you're right. Just in terms of like what happens on the planet, Mustafar is hard to beat. But Exegol is where we get to spend the most quality time with Ben Solo. It's got the beautiful owl. It's got the dyad handing of the lightsaber and the shrug. It's got the great shot of Rey and Ben coming together and raising their blades at the same time. All of that great Palpatine business, Rey's vision. The climax of Rise of Skywalker is just phenomenal, and Exegol makes that all happen. And the great mad scientist Sith magic scene at the beginning of the film with that dried, horrible lightning sound. You know, what do you have that I would want? Everything.
Yeah, and I'm hungry for more. And I know in the Greg Pak run we've got a lot more there. Ochi Bastoon and Vader goes there during between Empire and Jedi. I have not kept up on any of that, unfortunately. Time not permitting that. But I do love when we spend more time there. But you just looking at the movie, I hunger for more of that. I hunger for like an extended scene or deleted scene showing. You know, not just, what I'd like to hear the Dead Speak announcement, and everyone can insert your Fortnite jokes in here now. Yay, they work. I would have liked to seen, like, getting that out, like actually recording that, like a president sitting in the Oval Office to get a message out. Those weird scientists, everything about it. I'd love to see what do you do with those Snokes that aren't working? Like, what, and Dathan spending time on there, like, Ray's there. Like, there's a lot to mine there still. And I'm excited by the potential.
And we do get a little portrait of what Exegol is like from Dathan in the Secrets of the Sith novel, which is very good. Obviously, it's got to be kind of functional. Here's another vote against Exegol. Whoever carved out those caves just did not do a good job structurally. Because I know that hey, when Palpatine explodes with dark side energy on an already clearly lightning-prone planet. Fair enough, lightning explodes everywhere. But then the cave collapses in such a way as to crush everyone sitting in the audience. Like, I know Exegol is not an OSHA planet, OSHA, the government agency, not the Acolyte character, but that's some particularly bad theater building where, like, hey, if something goes wrong on stage, rocks are going to collapse directly on the audience. Imagine going to a Cirque du Soleil show in Vegas and a stunt goes wrong on stage, and only the audience dies.
It's instead of buying tickets for an obstructed view, it's buying tickets for like a possible crushed view. Oh man, what's the Ticketmaster fee on that one? Yeah. And and this now we're going fun weird areas, but we a lot of questions about those Sith cultists. We actually talk about them in our Rise of Skywalker watch along commentary track available on our Patreon page. But how long they sitting there? Not a lot to do, They're just sitting there staring at. Because Palpatine's not always out there in the throne. Does he just? Does the arm plop him down on the throne at some point? He just sits there.
I think they know Rey's coming, and they're like, hurry up. I think there was an announcement made. I think the dead spoke again, said, get your ass into the stadium, cultists.
Get your ceremony robes on. Don't show your faces. Your kids can fly the Star Destroyers. Don't worry about it. That was always been the plan. And now here we go.
Yeah. So I guess just in terms of engineering,
Yeah.
Mustafar seems better than Exegol.
Yeah.
All right. I have one last metric that I think is going to make my decision. So,
Okay.
anything else that you want to discuss before we head to our decision?
Nope. We're racing there. Let's do it.
Yeah. No, I don't know if I can do this.
Uh-oh.
Do you have a decision? Do you know?
Yeah, I think I do, but I'd like to
Okay.
hear your final points. Maybe, I don't know. I don't know which way you're going to push me.
Yeah. Well, I was tipping towards Mustafar, to giving it to Mustafar,
Okay.
uh, because I was looking for anything that would break the tie. And here's what I'll say:
Mm-hmm.
the name of the planets in their main appearance, Mustafar in Revenge of the Sith and Exegol in Rise of Skywalker, the names of the planets are both spoken.
Mm.
And Mustafar is spoken of in more entertaining ways in Revenge of the Sith. Because, first of all, you have Ian McDiarmid swinging for the fences in the way he says Mustafar. They go to the Mustafar system, which is great. And sadly, he doesn't say Exegol in Rise of Skywalker. We also have one of my favorite, maybe intentional, maybe not intentional comedy lines in all of Star Wars when General Grievous says the Separatists. I'm taking you to Mustafar. It's a lava planet. You'll be safe there. And then Imodian goes, safe? Which is like, that is what I would say if somebody said, you'll be safe. It's a lava planet. What? Get the bleep out of here. So the way Mustafar is spoken about in Rise of Skywalker is slightly more entertaining when the way, or in Revenge of the Sith is slightly more entertaining than the way Exegol is spoken about in Rise of Skywalker. How do you feel about that?
It's such the Rick Ollier school of the whole planet is a lava system. The whole planet's a volcano. Like, I had not ever thought about that line too much.
It's so funny.
What? Yeah, no, it's. I think Mustafar is built for Ian McDiarmid to say. It's just built. Exegol too, but Mustafar. Like, you could just. It's a.
Yeah. Exegol. Yeah.
Exegol's there,
but then you know what? When I was going to give it to Mustafar over those extra vowels in I had a flash of guilt. And I think it's because, which planet needs me? Mustafar doesn't need me. A lot of people could be down on Exegol. Exegol needs me. So I'm going to be there for Exegol. I think it is an underrated planet because it's part of a controversial film. It's part of a controversial plot. Multiple controversial plot choices, the return of Palpatine, the death of Ben Solo. I think Exegol's got a lot stacked against it. So I'm going to be here for that underdog evil planet Exegol, and I'm giving my vote to Exegol.
God, you're making me feel guilty because I love everything about it. I love that opening sequence so much. I'm a champion of Exegol, which is, again, weird to say for a Sith cultist planet. But I'm going to vote Mustafar.
Wow.
Simply because the fact that this was a film in 2005 that I definitely enjoyed, but still was part of a initially challenging time for me as an older Star Wars fan in that era, older meaning OT trilogy, to see where it's grown from 2005, playing the game of Battlefront 2, hearing Padme's ruminations as I controlled a clone trooper on the planet and thinking, oh, wait a minute, maybe I like this. From that point to now, what was new has become a classic. I love that idea, and Exegol will eventually become that too. And for all the miners just doing their thing on Mustafar, just working, I'm sticking with Mustafar.
You're right. I mean, I would rather hang out with miners than cultists, but I'm sticking to my vote. I said it. I'm going to do it, and we're going to have the fun of doing a 2-person episode of Subjective Wars, and it is a tie between Mustafar and Exegol. What would Jennifer think? Maybe we'll ask her the next time. Maybe we'll give her like when she has more time. Maybe we'll do an episode of Subjective Wars. It's just like a lightning round of make all these decisions.
You're the deciding vote, and we'll seal it up.
Yep.
Maybe she could just mail a letter with all the answers, and we'll unveil the letter live here. Maybe we have to do that.
Yeah, that would be very fun. But thank you all for watching. Ken, you want to take us home?
Absolutely. Hey, we are ForceCenter, and we are on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Facebook page is ForceCenter Podcast. We're on Instagram and YouTube. And hey, YouTube's going to be very important here. Put your vote down below in the comments and help us decide here until Jennifer weighs in. Subscribe if you want over there. Help us reach our subscriber goals. You can get the podcast anywhere. Just search. You'll find us. If not, let us know. We'll try to add it there. And the ever-changing podcast landscape merch available at tpublic.com/user/ForceCenter, patreon.com/ForceCenter, where you can support us directly and get access to our Rise of Skywalker commentary track. If you don't want to support on Patreon, we understand. You can also go to Patreon and go to our shop and get the Rise of Skywalker commentary there. A lot of syllables there. Follow me at Ken Napzok. Go to my website, kennapzok.com, for more information on show days. Joseph, where can they find you and your Mustafar ways?
You can find me on all the social media as at Joseph Scrimshaw. That's my handle everywhere. Come be friends. It'll be fun. You can also check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com, that has updates on everything going on with my various film work, and also a link to the upcoming birthday show I'm doing Friday, August 16th, 7:30 p.m. at the Lyric Hyperion here in Los Angeles. The show is called Horror Years Old. It is a comedy variety show about aging. It's a way to have fun and push back against the existential dread of getting older. Ken's going to be on the show. A bunch of great friends of the ForceCenter show will also be on the show, and it is available to live stream. Tickets to all that and information are on my website, josephscrimshaw.com. That's it for me, Ken.
That's it for Joseph. That's it for me. That's it for Jennifer as well. Check Jennifer Landa out there as well in the social world. We'll see you next time. Vote below and help us decide. Mustafar, Exegol, we have our votes. We'll see you next time here on Subjective Wars.